Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. This is the first episode of the 2023 NFL Draft Rookie Report. The goal of this show is to introduce you to next year's rookies who hopefully will be fantasy relevant. We're going to discuss what we've seen from their 2022 film through week 8 of the college football season, as well as discuss their future dynasty value. Should be a great show. It's going to be happening every week. So hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing these weekly, dropping all of the rookies that are headed to our dynasty rosters next year. So with me tonight is my good friend, Jason D. Rienzo. He is a recent graduate of the Scouting Academy. Jason, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Brandon. I think this is going to be awesome. I'm really excited to talk about these guys with you tonight and see what your opinion is and see if we defer a little bit.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun, right? But
It would
yeah,
be.
so this is the first show that we're doing dedicating to the 2023 rookie class. So we're excited about it, and we're going to talk about one of the best, probably tight ends in all of college football right now, Notre Dame tight end Michael Mayer. So what we do is a process for this show. I created, it's dropped on this YouTube channel, a week 1 through week 8 scouting film of Michael Mayer. And what I did is I recorded every reception. He did not have any carries, but every reception that he had through week 8. So it's a great opportunity after watching the show or even before watching the show, go take a look at that film and even, take a look at that and see if you agree with Jason and I. We're going to go through some stats tonight. We're going to go through a scouting report, and then we're going to talk about, like I said, their dynasty future value, maybe talk about draft capital and so on and so forth. So let's get right to it. So Michael Mayer, 6'4", 265 pounds. He is a junior, and he is consensus right now, probably tight end 1 in all of scouting right now for all of the NFL draftniks out there projecting which tight end will be drafted first. So I want to go through some stats here, Jason, and kind of get your thoughts on them. So from a snap location we saw on the film, what's really nice is he played 30%, 37% in line, but he also played 48%, almost 50% of his snaps came in the slot, right? And 15% he even played out wide. So he's going from basically a 40 in line to 60 out playing wide receiver. And I'm assuming we can expect to see that at the next level.
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, I think so. He had a catch percentage of 66%. He said really hasn't had the best QB play this year. Yards per reception is at 12. He was 30th amongst tight ends with catches of 20 or more. All these stats from PFF, the next 3 stats here, all are tight ends that had catches of 20 or more through week 8 of the college football season. Yards per reception at 12. He had an ADOT average depth of target at 7.8. Which is 36th ranked amongst all tight ends with 20 receptions through week 8, and yards per reception at 12. What did you come away with those numbers? What do they tell you about Michael Mayer's game?
Just that he's being used in a variety of different ways, and obviously with the quarterback position being kind of errant this season at Notre Dame, you could definitely tell that he was just kind of that safety valve for these guys. Definitely Tyler Buckner, now Drew Pines. So I think he has more to him than what these numbers say, but these numbers tell me that they're trying to play him closer to the line on drag routes, hitches, that sort of thing. Just quick adjustments to get the ball out of the hands of the quarterback. That's kind of what that tells me.
Yeah, I saw the same thing. Definitely didn't have too many vertical plays in that film that we saw, but given their quarterback situation, that would certainly be the plan if I were the coach as well, to get the ball out of Drew Pine's hands as fast as possible. So let's really dig into his scouting profile, right? That's kind of what we want to talk about and kind of see, because what we're looking at with this show is we want to talk about his traits, how it relates to a dynasty and fantasy perspective, not so much an NFL team and what they're looking for. Us here, we're all playing the game that we love of fantasy football. So we're going to talk about these traits in the eyes of, a future dynasty player on our rosters. And I think first and foremost, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, I think whenever we talk about tight ends, very, very difficult position to kind of project, to translate to our rosters is athleticism, right? I think, you saw last year in the combine, the guys that were the most athletic were the players that seemed to kind of rise in that draft board as we got closer to this past April. What did you see on the film from his athleticism standpoint?
Athleticism in terms of what it is, right? The agility, just his mechanical body movements and how he utilizes the spatial awareness that he has on the field. I came away a little unimpressed with the agility portion of it. But when I watched his game a little bit closer, he is very nuanced in understanding how to really not have to make sharp cuts and uses a little bit more manipulation. But within the agility part, I think he's a little stiff. He's just got that bigger,
Mhm.
broader frame, thick lower body, and he really just doesn't know how to sink his hips and get some good ankle flexion when he's adjusting himself. But as far as like his athleticism overall, I think he's got enough athleticism to be an impact player at the next level. I think he's got some good vertical usage when he has to go up and get the ball above defenders. So that vertical explosion is definitely there. I just don't think he has enough like of that twitchy athleticism to kind of maneuver himself into midair adjustments or anything like that. But I think he's just kind of solid all around in terms of athleticism.
Yeah, I like how you separated that from agility to athleticism because you're right. You know, when he is at the catch point, he's certainly athletic. I mean, the grabs, we're going to talk about his ball
Mhm.
skills and hands here in a minute. But overall, I mean, yeah, from an athletic standpoint, I think he, doesn't have that twitch that we're kind of looking for from a fantasy standpoint that,
Right.
the real be able to break away speed and that type of thing. But his agility, really a close area, his short area quickness is pretty solid as we saw on the film. Now,
Yeah.
I think his best trait by far watching that film is his ball skills and hands. I mean, the guy,
Mhm.
I don't care what that 66% catch rate says on the screen from the stats, but I'm telling you right now, that guy made some amazing catches. I
Yes,
mean,
he did.
outside his frame. I mean, they're behind him and high and low and all over the place. I mean, like I said, he doesn't have the most accurate quarterback, but I thought he showed excellent ball skills. I thought his concentration. He wins seems like with physicality in those close quarters, in those short and intermediate routes. But I don't know. I thought from ball skills and hands, there was not much not to like when you watched his film.
No, he's going to be an incredible asset to a quarterback at the next level because of the ball skills. I mean, he frames the football with his hands,
Yeah.
perfectly in order to kind of reach out and make adjustments and not lose speed as he's gaining momentum and catching outside his frame while en route. And just the adjustments you said, like just the low adjustments, high adjustments. If the ball's behind him, one-handed catches, like he can make it all. But how he catches the ball outside his frame is very much like a real good NFL receiver. And for someone like that who can make incredible catches like that, he's definitely going to be a value in fantasy, regardless of the lack of athleticism.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about his route running. We talked about here his average depth of target was 7.8. That's not super explosive, but that was 36th amongst tight ends with 20
Yeah.
receptions. So, but in that short area, the guy knows how to get open. He's very shifty. I think would you say that he wins most routes with athleticism or physicality?
No, definitely physicality, but also a lot of manipulation. He forces defenders to kind of watch his face, eyes, and how he gestures his body movements. And there was one play where it was perfect, so you could actually see him running toward the defender, and he kept his eyes straight down, jerked his eyes in the direction that he wasn't going to go, and then quickly adjusted and snapped his entire body into the out route. And I thought that was fantastic. Like that is a veteran move in order to manipulate with your eyes, especially within the first 5 to 10 yards of the release. I really like seeing that.
No, you're dropping some scouting academy knowledge right now. I like that manipulation with the eyes for tight ends, man.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No one's getting that anywhere other than here. Yeah, I thought he was a very smart player. I think he has. I have in the notes here. He has really good instincts to like you said,
Oh,
manipulate
very
those
good.
defenders.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his speed a little bit, right? Because
Right.
the tight ends that we all love in fantasy, right, have the ability kind of to after they get the catch to at least add some yak yards, right? To at
Mhm.
least, add something. Where do you see his game in that regard? I mean, I don't see him as a guy. I think he's going to win in those short area, 10 to 15 yards and maybe some seam routes or something like that. But I don't know if I see him as being like a vertical threat in the NFL because he does win with physicality, but he's going to be playing with the big boys. And I'm not sure that necessarily is going to translate into a lot of yak yards in the NFL. After looking at that film, would you agree or disagree with that?
I agree with you based on what we saw in the film. It does not look like he's gaining a lot of yards after the catch or even after contact. But when I think about the tight end position in general in the NFL, these guys are really just getting those short yardages and they're exposing the soft spots in zone a lot. They're being put
Mhm.
in position to be open. So when I saw, Michael Mayer get a catch in the middle of zone coverage, he was able to gain yards because he exposed that zone. And I think
Mhm.
that's something he's really good at is exposing open areas that he understands where the safety and the defender are going to be. And he knows he could probably get additional yards in that space. So I don't think he's going to gain it out of zone. I think he's going to find it within how he's going to be used on like crossing routes and drag routes, which he's
Yeah.
outstanding at.
Right. Yeah. That's where he made his bread and butter for sure.
Yeah.
So I think what NFL scouts are going to love about this kid is the fact that his play strength and blocking is top notch. So I mean, he's
Mhm.
got the size, 6'4", 265. If he's at that range at 265, he's going to be one of the larger tight ends in the league, at least from a fantasy and dynasty perspective of the ones that are out there that we know the Kittles, the Kelseys and all those guys are more in the 255 range. But I think looking from that film, I mean, the blocking, I didn't really put a lot of blocking plays in that film, but I did see other ones where I think is going to be a true asset when he plays in line.
Oh, absolutely. He's a tremendous blocker. And that alone, we don't really care about in terms of fantasy, but
Right.
it puts him on the field, right? And the more he's on the field, the more opportunity he's going to get, just to get those bump and runs or whatever it may be. So I like the fact that he's a good blocker because at the same time, that gets him more snaps, and I'll take
That's
that.
right. Yeah, exactly. Especially in the NFL, when you're on the field,
Mhm.
you get to make plays and you have opportunity. So let me
Right.
ask you a question. So, overall, we like Michael Mayer. He's the tight end 1, 2, 3. I mean, he's not going to go below 3 probably for anybody out
I
there.
can't
But,
imagine.
but
Yeah.
we've seen the OJ Howards of the world, right? These guys that we project to be great. Anything can happen, but he certainly looks like going to be a solid translatable dynasty asset in the future. Here's my one concern. All right. So I know everything seems to change after the combine, right? I mean, we
Mhm.
we can do whatever we want, but then the combine comes. Let's say he runs a poor shuttle, the burst scores aren't there. He runs a really slow 40. Do you think that's going to play a role in teams looking at him, or do you think NFL teams are more going to be drafting Michael Mayer because he's going to be that great blocker, but he's going to be able to, assist in the passing game? But from us, again, from a dynasty standpoint, fantasy, we want points, we want guys with the ball in his hands. We don't care about the blocking, like you said. If
Right.
he tests poorly at the combine, do you think that's going to affect his draft stock?
I do think it's going to affect his draft stock. I can't imagine how it wouldn't. But again, as long as he gets that first, second, or third round draft capital, that's kind of our sweet spot anyway, right? Up to
Mm-hmm.
third round, we still see opportunity for a lot of these tight ends. And Michael Mayer, he's a special talent, regardless of the athleticism. I am hoping that if he knows he's not going to run well, that he has someone whispering in his ear, "Hey, you don't have to run." You know what
Right,
I mean?
right. That's
Like,
right.
why? Right now, you're a first round tight end, right?
That's
Based
right.
on what everybody's seen over this period, your leadership ability, all of it. Don't run. Like, just don't do the
Yep.
workouts, and nobody's being checked off in a bad way anymore by doing that. As a matter of fact, it's kind of working in their favor. If he runs a 4.8, that's not going to go well. So don't run. That's what I
Yeah,
would say.
what you don't know don't hurt you, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So from an draft capital wise, what I've seen right now, he's looking like a lock day one.
I think so too.
I
Yeah.
have not seen him outside of the first round. His rookie draft, it's going to be a little bit of dependent on landing spot, but would you expect him in a rookie draft selection to be a round 1 or 2 draft selection?
I'm probably thinking around 2. And the only reason I'm saying
Yeah.
that, I mean, obviously tight end premium will change that. But as much as I love Michael Mayer, I just don't trust the tight end position at the next level.
Right.
Like where
Mhm.
Trey McBride went with the Cardinals, we're gonna have to wait a little bit of time. I'm not gonna be anxious to take a guy I might have to wait on, depending upon where he lands.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think even in a tight end premium, unless he lands in a great spot with a
In
great
tight end premium,
quarterback.
I'd be willing to spend the premium because I
Yeah.
think it'll be worth it.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
if he has a quarterback who can get him the ball, right?
Right.
Some of projected fantasy value, I think he's obviously the tight end one on the team that drafts him, but where do you see his ceiling possibly be? And I know this is all projection. We don't have a landing spot, and
Yeah.
we have the draft capital. It's going to be day one. He's going to get an opportunity wherever he goes. I look at him as a potential, tight end 2. I'm not sure necessarily a tight end 1. I might be a little, waver from what you're thinking is there.
Yeah, the intelligence that I saw in the film of just how he manipulates and his blocking, and I mean, he can do it all. And we're really just judging based off the athleticism, but he wouldn't be doing what he's doing in college right now if there wasn't a spice of athleticism that we can be intrigued by. So I honestly think the upside that I see, and I kind of see it quite a bit. I do see Mark Andrews upside. And the reason I say that is because Mark Andrews, when he was coming out of college, I didn't think that he looked overly athletic. And I was kind of concerned about his blocking ability. I didn't think he was a very good blocker at all. So if I take Michael Mayer, who I think has kind of almost similar athleticism to Mark Andrews a bit, because I didn't think Mark Andrews was very good as far as the way he was fluid in his agility either. Michael Mayer's a better blocker, and I think he has the upside of Mark Andrews. And I'll stand firm with that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm on board with that. I think at 265, unless he can get down, he just looks like really thick on the bottom. And I don't know if I see that burst and the ability to create space down the field.
I
like
see
Mark
it when
Andrews.
he gets into the second level. I
Yeah.
don't see it off the initial snap, which is absolutely fine because off the initial snap, he's just doing hitches and crosses and drags. And, I
Right.
don't really care. I care
Yeah.
once he actually has momentum, how fast he is. And I believe in that. I see it.
Yeah, good stuff. I have here as a current fantasy player comp. Cole Kmet, his predecessor at Notre Dame, is kind of almost the similar size at almost at 265, and he went to your beloved Chicago Bears and is you really yet to break out. And I'm not saying that that's what Michael Mary's not going to break out. I'm just saying from a size standpoint, that's kind of, and I like Cole Kmet when he came out. I think everyone was pretty excited a couple years ago when he came out. So well, listen, man, there you guys have it. There's kind of our overview on Michael Mayer. I think he's going to get the day one draft capital. He's going to be on our dynasty rosters. So we got a second half of college film to watch. But I hope you enjoyed the show. And like I said, hit that subscribe button. We're going to do a bunch of these as we head into the NFL 2023 draft season. Take care.